Welcome to the Level 1 Lounge, where we give our uneducated takes on anything and everything gaming. Hope you guys are having a great week. I know we were off last week because we were all doing some personal stuff, but we're back this week to give you guys another recording. So, with me today are my two usual co-hosts from the New Geek Corner over on Facebook. We have Agent Maverick 86. And
Hi,
on
guys.
his YouTube channel and author of Shade Falling, we have Irish Bandit Rob.
Right here.
How convenient you happen to have that there, and I wasn't even telling you I was introducing you like that.
Exactly.
Anyways, welcome here. I am Rider Pride 639. We've got all kinds of news and things like that to discuss with you today. But before we power on the systems, it is the beginning of the month, technically the end of the month, but will be the beginning of the month by the time this goes live. So we got all of the games that are coming up here for the month of August. So at the top of the list, we have Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home, which is coming out for mobile devices. Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which is released for PC, PlayStations 4 and 5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox Series S and X. We have World of Goo 2, which is coming out for Nintendo Switch on August 2nd. Cat Quest 3, which releases for pretty much every platform, so PC, PlayStations 4 and 5, Switch, and all three Xboxes. Kena, Bridge of Spirits, coming out for Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. Now, this is one we'll do a quick blurb on this one because I know Maverick has had some really, really good success with this game in the past. So I imagine he's probably excited for this one as well.
Yeah, I picked this one up on PlayStation. It is done by the Embracer Group, so this is one of the times as well that PlayStation is actually porting a game over to Xbox. So, I mean, we've always talked about the exclusivity and talking about companies not doing that so much. So I'm really excited for Xbox players to actually get their hands on this game. I had a blast with it. It's a very, for lack of better terms, it's a very cute game. Can be challenging as well. I've mentioned it before on the pod. You have your little rots follow you around and give you abilities and stuff too. So it's a blast. If you guys have a chance to pick that up on Xbox Series, do it. It's a lot of fun. The combat is challenging as well. There have been times where I got into a boss fight and it took me quite a few different attempts. I wouldn't say it's Souls-like, but it's close enough that it's challenging. So I highly recommend it. But when you do play it, explore. Get as much rot as you possibly can to make it easier to get through. So that's my suggestion for you, but enjoy the game. I'm happy that it's actually making its way over to the series systems, the Xbox
Excellent.
Series.
Yeah, and that's coming out on August 15th. And then on August 16th, for PC and consoles, we do have Rugrats Adventures in Gameland. So a lot of fans out there from the Rugrats TV series, they're going to be excited for that one. Another one that I know Maverick is going to be looking at very, very closely is Black Myth Wukong, which arrives on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S and X on August 20th. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that one I'm gonna actually hold off on a little bit. It's not that I know that I don't think it's going to be good. I'm very excited for it, but there's so many other games coming out in the next few months that I've got to put something on the back burner and add to my long growing list of my backlog. And unfortunately, Black Myth is going to make its way over there. There is supposed to be a demo that's supposed to be out in the next few weeks before it's released. So I want to give that a good go before I make my final decision. Because as we've discussed on this pod, we got to vote with our wallets.
Yeah.
So I do kind of want to see a little bit more with the gameplay, and I want to be able to play it a little bit before I make that final decision.
Yeah. So like I said, so that one comes out August 20th. Concord, we saw a lot of this one here at the recent showcases. PlayStation 5 and PC releases on August 23rd. World of Warcraft, The War Within, obviously it's only a PC title, is coming out on August 26th. Irish Bandit Rob, I think you used to play World of Warcraft at one point in time.
At one point,
way
yeah,
back.
I did.
Yeah, so did I
way
actually.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I think I only played it for
I
like a month, and that was about it. Oh yeah, that's right. I've totally forgot Maverick. Yeah, you did play that one too.
Yeah.
So new new expansion for World of Warcraft lands August 26th. Visions of Mana comes out August 29th. For PC, PlayStations 4 and 5, and Xbox Series S and X. I'm excited for this one. I know Maverick's excited for this one here. How did you fare in Trials of Mana? I know you tried that one out at some point.
Again, this is another one that's going to make its way onto my backlog. The next game that we're going to be discussing is kind of the focal point for my month. So we'll get to that in a second, but unfortunately, yeah, that one's going to find its way onto backlog. I might actually ask Ryder if he'd be willing to do a review for my page, but I will. We'll do that as well. I'll get some information about that and have that conversation with him. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about that yet, so
yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll definitely look at that.
that one back burner.
Yeah. That one will probably take a back burner for me as well temporarily because of this next game that a lot of people are going to be super, super excited for, coming out on August 30th for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S and X, and that being Star Wars Outlaws. We all saw the highlights of it and the info at the previous showcases. They've showed with some gameplay trailers and commentary and things like that. Not just at the game showcases, but with Ubisoft Connect and things like that. Me being a Star Wars fan, I can't tell you how excited I am for this. What are your guys' thoughts real quick on this one?
I want to let Rob say something here first before I pipe in.
I mean, with everything that I've been seeing with the trailers, it looks so good. I cannot wait to play it myself. You get to play as a bounty hunter. I always wanted to play as Han Solo, and can't do that. Why not somebody else? And it's open world too, so sign me up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a little bit of an update I'm going to give as well, just a quick educational patch as well for this game. The release date for Standard Edition is August 30th. If you get the Gold or get Ubisoft Plus, it will be available on August 27th. So just so that everyone's aware of that as well. So you get 3 days early access
period, right?
Right. So I did also do a little bit of digging. Ubisoft Plus is not available on PlayStation. We only have the Ubisoft Classics, which is built into the PlayStation Plus subscription. So I don't feel so bad shelling out a little bit for it, but I guess an argument could have been made that I could have got Ubisoft for the Xbox. But I wanted to do at least one platinum run this year outside of Stellar Blade. So I will be playing this early access day one. I'm very excited for it. I actually have that day off, so might be able to get in a little bit of playtime here that day. So I'm pretty excited for it. But yeah, that's where my focus is this month. I feel that I really like Black Myth Wukong. I am very interested in, and it's going on the back burner just for now, just so I get a little bit more information. As I said, the demo, but with Outlaws, I feel that I'm going to be investing so much time into it that I don't have the time to get into Black Myth Wukong at this point. And then we also there's a couple games coming out very, very early next month, like Astrobot, which is another one that I've pre-ordered, which is another one I want to jump into right away. So I just feel Black Myth Wukong deserves the respect and a decent amount to actually play it. So yeah, that's why I'm holding off on it. Outlaws is the game of the month, and maybe close to being the game of the year for me. But I mean, it's going to be hard to top Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah, and I'll be doing the same thing too. I'll probably be playing it early access. I'll probably get it through Ubisoft Plus on my PC. That should be around the time when my night shift schedule kind of rotates back around into days again. So I should be actually able to play it on what would normally be considered my normal stream schedule. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, my night shifts are going to be starting right away here. So yeah, that's going to be fun. 12-hour overnights. Yeah. Fun.
Oh boy.
And then for the last game on the list that's coming out this month, on August 31st, we have Shadows of the Damned, Hella Remastered. This one's coming out for pretty much every platform as well. So PC, PlayStations 4 and 5, Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. And yeah, that's going to do it for the list of games, or at least the list of more well-known games that are coming out for the month of August. So now that we're done booting up, it's time to pick up our controllers and it's time to get into a level 1. So unfortunately, we're going to be starting off with a bit of bad news today. So this one has been blowing up over social media very, very quickly, as was announced earlier today, but Bungie is laying off 220 employees. The statement was released early this morning. The opening of remarks of the letter states that this morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior leader roles. So, we had a feeling that that we weren't done with layoffs. And I think if I recall
This
correctly,
won't be the last time either.
And
No,
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't think so
Bungie
either.
did some layoffs earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember
I'll have to do some digging into that. But I did actually find some news here earlier, by the way, that I just didn't have a chance to update the script. 155 positions are actually being moved into Sony. So there is actually a little bit of a shift of dynamic there as well. So Bungie is also trying to align themselves with Sony a little bit more. So there still are going to be people impacted and affected. Their teams have always been massive. So the thing is, if they're cutting it down to 2 games that they're developing, they just unfortunately don't need that much staff. I just hope that Marathon and Destiny hit the ground running for them. Because because they're a great developer, and it just sucks that this is also right after the DLC came out of Destiny 2.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me question, like, was there some kind of involvement there too that you're just not talking about? So
yeah, hard to say for sure. Rob, thoughts?
It's like you said, we knew this was coming. It's been like one of the big things of 2024 of all the layoffs within the video game industry. It sucks, but it's to be expected at this point. Feel for the people affected, absolutely. But yeah.
Come to Canada, open up some more studios here.
Yeah, there we go.
They did it in Poland. It should work for us too.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what I think too. Hopefully they land on their feet. Hopefully the ones that they're restructuring or being repositioned within Sony, good on them. They'll still be able to to work and provide.
But the interesting thing with Bungie is that how many other companies have we heard that they were cutting at the executive level as well? I think as far as I know, Bungie's been the only one to do that.
Yeah, that's something that I think is a little bit different this time around for layoff announcements, is that they're actually targeting or not so much targeting, but they're including executive and senior leadership roles. So I mean, whether or not this ends up shifting the balance with other companies to do the same, hard to say for sure. I kind of doubt it personally, but
I doubt it too. You're never.
I think that should be a norm, because I mean, what's the saying? Captain goes down with the ship.
Yeah. But I mean, in a lot of these cases too, the one thing that you're very rarely, if ever, going to hear is CEO takes pay cut in order to preserve employee jobs.
Yeah, you're never going to hear.
You'll hear more of employee jobs cut and CEO's wage increase by 35%.
Yeah, I think we heard that one earlier this year too, and I think we all had a bit of a seething comment in relation to that one. But yeah,
it was one of first angry Maverick rants, if I remember correctly.
All right, so moving on to the next particular article here. So video game performers are going on strike over artificial intelligence concerns. So Hollywood's video game performers, video game performers announced that they would go on strike on Thursday, throwing part of the entertainment industry into another work stoppage after talks for a new contract with major game studios broke down over artificial intelligence protections. The SAG-AFTRA, or what we'll call SAG-AFTRA, the negotiators say, negotiators say gains have been made over wages and job safety in the video game contract, but that the two sides remain split over the regulation of generative AI. A spokesperson for the video game producer Audrey Cooling said that studios offered AI protections, but SAG-AFTRA's negotiating committee said that the studio's definition of who constitutes as a performer is key to understanding the issue of who would be protected. The last interactive contract, which expired in November of 2022, did not provide protections around AI, but secured bonus compensation structures for voice actors and performance capture artists after an 11-month strike that began in October of 2016. That work stoppage marked the first major labor action from SAG-AFTRA following the merger of Hollywood's two largest actors' unions in 2012. Rob, we're going to cut to you. I think you have a bit of news to talk about on this one.
Well, it's not so much news, but it's more along the lines of this past Friday during her stream on Twitch and YouTube. Brianna White on her Strange Rebel Gaming channels addressed this situation and addressed the SAG-AFTRA strikes as well. About basically, she was just talking about AI and the potential damage it could do, because she made a good point during her stream, saying that how with things like deep fakes, they can really do some really heinous stuff with AI, make people say just some horrible things that they wouldn't normally say in real life.
Right, yeah.
But on the other side of that, she brought up a really good point. It's like, for those that don't know, Brianna White is the voice actress for Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, Crisis Core, Union. And she said, like, if she's under the weather and can't come in to do her reading, they can just have like snippets of things that she has done and just kind of tweak it to fit the line for if it's something small, not really a huge thing she needs to do, or in an extreme situations like that. But to have like full on dialogue done by AI, I think is it's not right. It's not right for the actors who are putting in so much work. Look at the vast array of voice talent. How can you just reduce that to have them come in, say a couple lines, and be like, okay, don't need you now. We can do the rest. There are a lot of talented people out there. Like, look at Matthew Mercer, one of the most talented dudes there is. You tell me you don't want to get him in for a full voice role? Come on.
Well, and I mean, it's going to come down to greedy corporations that are trying to cut every corner possible in order to save a buck.
Exactly.
And that's why I believe that SAG-AFTRA, they need this contract. They need these negotiations.
100%.
And I'm 100% behind the voice actors too. I mean, the last thing we need is I don't want to be reading news snippets on social media about my favorite voice actors like Stephen Bloom, Wes Johnson, Matt Mercer, and all of these other folks that are basically out of work because the AI can do exactly what they do, and the companies that are using the AI don't have to shell out any cash for them.
I think it goes without saying that we need to stand behind them.
No
because
doubt.
AI is a threat when it comes to voice actors and actors in general. I mean, how many times have we heard, Chester Bennington being used as AI though, or like these actors that are long since passed. They're talking about introducing Stan Lee into a couple MCU movies still for a cameo with artificial intelligence. Like there's so many aspects to it. Like it's a problem in both film and gaming, and it absolutely needs to be addressed, and there needs to be protection, because I mean, unfortunately, when it comes to these development companies, it's a very toxic environment. People don't know if they're going to have a job at the end of the day. Every other podcast, we're talking about layoffs.
Yeah.
And voice actors, how's it any different? Like for them, they're hired for one role and then they can move on to the next, and it's kind of expected. But you're getting to the point where AI comes in and steps in so much, like as you guys said, there's no point in hiring them. There's going to be a point in time we're going to end up hearing first AI generated game period for voice actors and actresses. It's going to happen regardless. So I mean,
No question.
we should stand behind them as long as we can to push that off as long as possible, because they're great. They're performance artists themselves, and they deserve respect, and they deserve to have protection. So good on them for pushing for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to put one thing in here really quickly for people to think about. If you've played through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth like Ryder has, you tell me that an AI is going to give a performance as well as John Eric Bentley did as Barrett? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
absolutely
so.
not. And I mean,
Took
like,
my gerb. sorry.
taking her gerbs.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. I had to make a little bit of a joke there. I'm sorry.
That was a good one, Maverick.
and I mean, like, for anybody that knows me, either on the podcast or on my own channels and things like that, everyone knows I love technology. I live between the ones and zeros that make up everyday life, and I love what AI can do for us as a society.
Ryder, we don't live in the Matrix. Get over it.
That's what they want you to think. But no, like I said, I live and breathe technology. I'm constantly, on the up and up for, when it comes to new tech that's coming out. I love the concept of AI. In fact, I've been using some new AI features on my phone.
Yeah, I use AI to help my writing. So
yeah,
I
exactly.
use
Like there's so many good tools. Yeah, exactly.
Time and place for it.
Yeah, there's a time and place for it. AI has a place in the film and video game industry, as long as the tool is not being abused, much
Exactly.
like which is why SAG-AFTRA is trying to get these protections, because there are people that are going to abuse it if those protections are not put in place. So it needs to be used the right way, in my opinion. Like if you need to be able to procedurally generate things, like, say for example, let's take No Man's Sky for example. A lot of the procedural generation is somewhat AI based. It's more of like a number generator than anything, but it's kind of the same idea, where the AI basically generates the world around you as you come to the planet to land on it, but none of those assets belong to somebody else or are impersonations of somebody else. It's all its own procedurally generated thing, so it doesn't exist, so to speak, in the real world. That's the kind of thing that I think AI should be used for, is basically creating something out of nothing. But we definitely don't want to get into a place where, AI is going to be generating arts from like Van Gogh and Beethoven and using voices of Brianna White and Matt Mercer and Wes Johnson and all that stuff without them being directly involved in the project. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. SAG-AFTRA, we're all behind SAG-AFTRA when it comes to this particular contract discussion.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get on to the next article here, and I can already see the smile creeping up over on Maverick's face, because this is probably one of his favorite games of all time. So the news is that Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver Remasters may have just leaked out at Comic-Con. So two beloved Soul Reaver games from developer Crystal Dynamics may be getting the remaster treatment, according to what appears to be a leak out of the San Diego Comic-Con. Branding for Legacy of Kain Soul Reavers 1 and 2 Remastered, which is an unannounced project, have been spotted at the comics publisher Dark Horse's booth at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, strongly hinting at a revival of the long-dormant franchise. And if accurate, the project sounds like it will contain remastered versions of the 1999 game Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, released for the original PlayStation and later ported to Sega Dreamcast and Windows PC, and its sequel, Soul Reaver 2, released for PlayStation 2 and Windows PC in 2001. Mav, what's your thoughts, buddy?
I am so excited. And here's the thing.
You can tell.
I did not have a chance to play Soul Reaver 2. So it ended on a cliffhanger, and I never got to play the second one. So I don't know how the game ended. So I am so excited to be able to finally complete this. If anyone's not familiar with this game, I'll make explanation of this really short. Vampires were mutating. Raziel was one of the first vampires that had a mutation. Cain killed him. He came back from the dead and went after Cain to kill him. And he was able to kill. His ability was to eat souls to be able to recharge, not sucking blood, eating souls of all of his enemies. It is a fantastic game. I had so much fun with it. It's Crystal Dynamics. The story was fantastic, at least that I could remember. I can't wait to get my hands on this game, and I've been saying that I've been wanting a remake for years. For years. These are the types of remakes we want. We don't need The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. Give us these
not
types
for another
of
10
games.
years anyway.
Exactly.
Yes. So absolutely bring this on. Crystal Dynamics, thank you for listening to the fans.
Rob, was this game on your PlayStation 1 and 2 radar back in the day?
It was a game I heard about, but I never played. I wanted to play it, but I just never got around to it. So maybe with remasters, I'll have to finally sit down and play them. Or there's other ways I can play the original game, but we won't talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did play the original Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver on PlayStation. I actually got it as a Christmas gift one year. I never did finish that one either. I felt the game was too difficult, or I'm just bad. I was just bad at games then too. But,
Get good, scrub.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my get good moment. For what I remember, the game played very smoothly. That's what I remember. Like everything was so crisp and fluid. Like the controls were easy enough to handle. I think it was the combat I was having some difficulty trying to master. But yeah, much like Rob, I might do the same thing too, where once it comes out in its remastered state, I might be looking, I might have to give this one another look too.
The other thing that I can't help but think though too is if this succeeds, how far behind Soul Reaver is Blood Omen? That's the one thing I'm wondering as well. Because it started with Blood Omen and then it ended up becoming Soul Reaver. You played as Cain and then you moved over to play as the Soul Reaver. And then if I remember, there was one where they actually were working together on something. So I would love to see again that complete story. Everyone has their own story, has their own view of them being the hero, right? Like you're the hero in your own story. So being able to have that different perspective with Cain just adds more to it. So I'm very much on board with the Soul Reaver game coming out. I absolutely love Raziel as a character, but I do want to see a little I don't think it's going to be that long of a wait before we see Cain as well. And I'm all for that. These are the types of characters that they need to start bringing back.
Yeah, like I said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Thank you, Robert Downey Jr. You're proving our point.
All right, so coming up to the next article, Stalker 2 has been delayed again, this time by 2 months. So says the developers. So Stalker 2 has suffered yet another delay, this time to November 20th, 2024. In January, after years of development and multiple delays, Ukrainian developer GSC Game World announced a firm final release date of September 5th, 2024, which will no longer be able to make. In a statement, game director Yevhen Grigorovich, hopefully I pronounced that right, said the extra 2 months will give the developers the chance to fix unexpected anomalies, or as we all know, bugs. So here's the statement in full. We know you might be tired of waiting, and we truly appreciate your patience. These 2 additional months will give us the chance to fix more unexpected anomalies, or bugs as you call them. We are always grateful for your ongoing support and understanding. It means the world to us. We're just as eager as you are to finally release the game and for you to experience for yourself. I never played the Stalker series, so I don't really have much of a dog in this particular race.
No, neither do I.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. I've seen a few content creators play the game, and they enjoyed it thoroughly. But But that's pretty much the only take I've got on it. Obviously,
I'm just
if
having this case of deja vu. Like, didn't we talk about Stalker 2 being delayed before?
I think so.
Well, we did, and the reason being was, and I'll if you guys don't mind, I'll take it a little bit over from here. So Stalker 2 was actually supposed to be out last year, and the reason why it was delayed was because the developers, the people that were actually involved with the game, were fighting the Ukrainian-Russian war. They actually picked up arms and started defending their hometown.
Good reason.
That's why I'm saying, like, this game absolutely needs the love. Download this game, buy this game, support this developer whenever the opportunity comes up. I realize that there may be a few people out there like myself who's never played Stalker 1. This game is going day one to Game Pass. I will be playing this day one because this developer, as I said, absolutely needs the love. I'm actually contemplating buying it regardless of it being on Game Pass because I want to support the developer so much. They deserve it. And the game looks fantastic. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, let it cook, let it cook, let it cook. If you absolutely need that time, take your time. We all understand, especially with this game, you're defending your country. We understand what motives you have right now and what you need to do. Get it done. Do what you need to. We can play the game later. Just be safe.
And I'm glad that they're taking the time, like, especially if they're, if they have to push a game back, more often than not, obviously there are some games that are an exception to the rule, really. But if they're pushing it back by another couple of months, there's obviously not just bugs in the game in general, but we're talking probably about major game-breaking ones, where essentially the game will be unplayable. So not like, No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk or anything like that, where, the CEO says, don't care, get the game out the door. Obviously these developers are a little bit smaller in stature, so they have, they're not going to be run by, some kind of money hungry CEO who only cares about, getting the product out the door regardless of what state it's in. So much like to what Maverick has said now and on the podcast before, let this game cook. Give it the love it needs. Give it the time it needs to be a little bit more closer to perfect. And we'll buy the game when it comes out, obviously.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts on that one before we move on?
No, I say what I needed to say. Just that developer, though, who the people involved. I hope you guys are safe over there.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All right, so moving on to the next article, the Xbox 360 marketplace, which you can see right beside Maverick's head there. The 360 marketplace enters its final day. One former exec pays tribute to the beloved store. All good things must come to an end. So, a former Xbox executive has paid tribute to the Xbox 360 marketplace on its final day, saying that all good things must come to an end. So, July 29th will mark the end of the Xbox 360 store after almost 19 years of service. After that day, you'll no longer be able to make any new purchases directly on your 360 or the marketplace website, meaning any nostalgic players hoping to add to their classic consoles library are pretty much out of luck. While it'll still be possible to re-download games you've already purchased, play online on the console as long as the individual game servers are still supported, and download backwards compatible 360 games on an Xbox One or Xbox Series X and S. It's still very much the end of an era, as Xbox veteran Larry Harib acknowledges. I never owned, I shouldn't say I never owned one. In one past relationship, we had an Xbox 360, but I really didn't play it all that much. The only thing I remember is selling a bunch of them and then having to return them because of the Red Ring of Death. That's really the only memories of the 360 that I've got.
So, I do remember playing the 360 with Chewy. Like I've never owned one. And now that I've got a Series X, there are some games that I've been able to add to my ever-growing list of backlogs. But this is a beloved system, and I do realize that the Red Ring of Death was a big problem at launch, and if you actually have a chance, there is a a documentary on the Xbox, and I can't remember what exactly it was called, but absolutely worth watching. They go over what had happened and how they managed the situation. They had a warehouse full of Xboxes in it. For a while, they actually pulled them off the shelves until they could actually fix the problem. So there's a lot that was behind that story. But when it came back out, that red ring went away, and it became one of the best consoles that's been out there. And it is a shame that it's coming to an end, but as we've discussed, this is a system that has been out for 19 years. It's had a good run. For me, I never had one because I couldn't afford it. I think I was just getting out of high school at the time that it came out, and also I was more interested in the PlayStation 3. So that's where my love for PlayStation kind of kicked in. So I never had an opportunity to really dive into a lot of those games, which is one of the things that I'm playing Gears of War and the rest of the Halo series and stuff kind of on the fly as well. It's a shame that they're going away, but that's the beautiful thing that Xbox does is they make these games backwards compatible, like these systems backwards compatible. Like I've picked up games, the 360 games on eBay, and I'm able to play them in my Series X. So it's not like the games are actually going anywhere. You just need a new console to be able to continue playing these games. It's how technology works, and that's how the gaming industry works.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, it is an end of an era, but it has to happen.
Yeah, that's very true. Rob, any thoughts?
All good things come to an end eventually.
Yeah.
I never owned a 360 myself. I've never owned anything Xbox related. So again, I don't have much of a dog in this fight, but it's just it's just the way things go. You think Nintendo wants to keep the Wii shop open after however many years?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive though. When like you take a look at the two biggest juggernauts in the console industry, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Like that was I don't want to necessarily call it a console war, but man, was it ever something to behold when it came to game releases.
If you watch that documentary, they explain why the Xbox was even created was because PlayStation kept taking cheap shots at Microsoft saying, hey, it's a PC you could put in your living room. And they did that for all of these different commercials. And somebody at Microsoft said, you know what? Enough is enough. I've had it. We're making our own goddamn system. So that's exactly what they did was they pitched the idea of the Xbox, and it flopped so terribly at first with the idea, the concept, everything behind it, and with the first development that Bill Gates went in and ripped everyone's heads off and nearly shut the project down. But they pushed forward and they came up with a different plan. I'm telling you, that documentary is worth watching. It really gave a different perspective for Microsoft. Check it out. It really explains everything as well with the 360 era and everything that was behind it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of my rant for that situation. But yeah, check it out.
All right. So staying on Xbox news, Microsoft is reporting gaming revenue is up 44%. So CFO Amy Hood has explained that gaming revenue has increased by about 44%, with 48 points of net impact from Microsoft's Activision acquisition, while Xbox content and services revenue up by 61%, with 58 points of net impact from the acquisition, was slightly ahead of expectations. On the other hand, Hood says that the stronger than expected performance in the first-party content was partially offset by third-party content performance. Things aren't as positive on the Xbox hardware side either, with revenue there decreasing by 42% and 41% in constant currency. Nadella, meanwhile, adds that when it comes to gaming, Microsoft has over 500 million monthly users across platforms and devices, and that their content pipeline has never been stronger. Nadella covers some of the biggest Xbox news that we've had recently, such as everything announced that was at the Xbox Game Showcase 2024, as well as the fact that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will be available with Game Pass. Nadella also mentions that the impact of highly praised Fallout TV show, which arrived on Amazon Prime earlier this year, and says the hours played on Game Pass for the Fallout franchise has increased nearly 5 times quarter over quarter. I really need to watch the Fallout show. I've been meaning to, and I haven't gotten around to it yet. But that's not a surprise, exactly.
No.
I played the original Fallout games 1 and 2, and then I did play a little bit of Fallout 76 when it first came out. I haven't really had a chance to kind of revisit those. Although I do believe it was either Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas that went for free. Can't remember if it was on Epic or if it was on Twitch Prime. One of the two. I picked something up for free. I don't remember exactly where though. So, those are kind of games, and I mean Fallout 4 is still talked about a lot in gaming circles nowadays. But yeah, it's good to see that Microsoft's gaming revenue is increasing, and we knew, and we discussed this on the pod before, we knew that Xbox hardware sales were kind of tanking a bit. It's been hard for a lot of companies to get new systems out the door, so to speak.
Well, and I think, and the numbers I seen too. Sorry, I didn't cut you off, but the numbers I was seeing too was Sony was outselling Xbox 5-1. So every 5 consoles that the PlayStation 5 went out the door, Microsoft had one. But we've discussed this before, that they don't care about the consoles. They care about the subscriptions. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
You have all of these people paying for their monthly subscription of Game Pass, which you can get at gamepass.co.ca or xbox.ca.
Monster
I had to plug it like Monster. I'm not as good.
Yeah.
But that's where their revenue is. They don't care about the hardware. Their value's gone up already as is, just for selling the subscriptions.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that too, especially now that Game Pass is available on the Amazon Fire TV sticks. So the more we're starting to see it on other devices that are not necessarily on an Xbox, plus you can get Game Pass on PC as well, and there's PCs all over the world, regardless of whether or not you have a console in your house.
And you keep bringing it up.
Yeah, and then exactly, you'd be able to play it on your mobile device. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I mean, I don't think they're really too concerned about selling more hardware nowadays, other than maybe like controllers, obviously, because you're going to need a controller in order to play it on a Fire TV stick, on a mobile device, what have you. But yeah, I think their bread and butter is going to be the subscription model and getting Game Pass into the hands of as many people as they possibly can.
Controllers, that's where the money lies, people.
Well, we can't help but wonder though too, how long is it going to be before Sony starts doing that, right? Like we've discussed it before. I think that it's just a matter of time before every console that's out there, every manufacturer is going to have a cloud-based system, and we're going to be having a very, very different conversation about games, and I'm going to say the ballpark of 10 to 15 years. I think we've got maybe 2 generations left before everything goes digital.
Yeah, and there's no longer going to be a console to buy. I absolutely agree with you on that. So I mean, 10 to 15 years, we're going to see you don't have to buy a console anymore. You just either plug in your Fire TV stick, plug in your Google Chromecast, load it up on your smart TV apps. You get your Game Pass, you get your PlayStation Plus online, you get your Nintendo online. Everything's all going to be basically at the touch of a button, without ever having to buy any new additional hardware that you have to plug into your system, which means no more red rings of death ever again.
I think Nintendo's still going to try to push a new system.
Well, we know one's going to be coming soon-ish. It's just a matter of them announcing it at this stage.
Exactly.
If they keep pushing handheld devices, I will 100% agree with you. And I think that's something that they may do. But Nintendo's always had the thing of, screw the normality. We're going to do our own damn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think they really busted it wide open with the Wii U. Especially when they had like all that extra little bit of hardware that you could I remember seeing commercials of people golfing where you still had you had the Wii console up on your TV, and then you had this little remote control with a screen on it you put on the floor, and it would, it would watch how you do your golf swings and things like that. I think that was the beginning of the wave of handheld devices. Obviously, then the Switch came out. Now we've got the PlayStation Portal. We have all of these various Steam and PC related handhelds like the Asus ROG Ally. We've got the Steam Deck. We've got VR headsets now, which are kind of more or less their own infrastructure in some cases. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't see a world where Microsoft doesn't come out with a handheld device for Xbox sometime soon.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, they kind of have their hands in the pot a little bit with the Steam Deck, because I believe the back end is Windows based, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, correct me in the comments below.
And they'll have an educational patch.
Yeah, exactly. PlayStation Portal is its own thing. Is obviously PlayStation's own OS based off of their PlayStation systems. Asus ROG Ally, I believe, is a hybrid OS, kind of based somewhat on their own interface plus a little bit of Windows.
The Portal is a little different. I don't think it really counts because it's remote play, right? So you have to have your system on in order for it to work.
Right, but the main brains behind it, though, is based off of what would probably be reminiscent of their OS, I guess. Wouldn't be like a direct one-to-one copy type of thing, but
yeah, if I wasn't setting up my own gaming room, I'd probably be looking at getting one right now.
Considering I'm going to be starting on night shifts right away, I have to try to see if I can figure out how to earn a few extra bucks and get one myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, that's what we're gonna be looking at here. So moving on. So again, sticking with a Microsoft mainstay, the Halo show has been canceled after 2 seasons. So despite the cancellation, Christopher Nolan is interested in purchasing the rights and potentially carrying on the show. It's being reported that Nolan and his team have reached out to Amblin Television and 343 Industries regarding purchasing rights to the Halo TV series. Nolan is a big fan of the video games and reportedly has some ideas on how to adapt it for the big or small screen. Mav, what do you thought? I've never actually
listen here, you piece of shit. Don't you dare resurrect that series. Like, I'm sorry. It is so bad. It is so bad. I had to stop watching it halfway through season 2. Master Chief always has his helmet on or off. It's always off. There's no action sequences and unrealistic romance between him and another character that they invented. They killed off characters even like that were a part of the original game. There's so many things that happen with that it's such a poorly done series. Rob, they didn't get to the Halo until the end of season 2. And that's exactly why Christopher Nolan's like, oh, we have an opportunity to do something with it now. You're there. Please, if you're going to do it, please, Chris, do it right. Do it right. Give us more action sequences. Keep his goddamn helmet on. I don't care what Pablo says. Keep the goddamn helmet on. Taking it off now once in a while, fine. But give us more action sequences. This series was an absolute joke. To anybody that's watched or has kept an eye on my page, you know my thoughts and feelings of it. Save yourself the misery. Don't watch it. There's so many different and better things to watch on Paramount. Tulsa King, Mayor of Kingstown, Twisted Metal. All of these shows I can't recommend enough of.
A good video.
Don't touch this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't touch this one. And
it was funny. One time I was looking over Maverick's page, and all he said to the producers of Halo, Hachtua.
Oh Jesus!
I had to fit that one in somewhere.
I didn't say that. I'm not that clever. Not that clever. But yes, it's bad. It's so bad. I mean, I went ahead and I told everyone I will watch it so you don't have to. I'm sorry, I let you down. It was so bad. I had to stop. I walked out. Like the last few episodes I watched, my eyes were bleeding. They were so bad.
I thought you were going to say you walked out of the theater. Wait, you were at home watching this.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh,
That's called petechial hemorrhaging. That could be a bad thing. You might want to go see a doctor about that.
Yeah, and you'll need to see a doctor about removing my foot from your ass.
Okay, Red
Or at least
Foreman,
the
calm
foot from
down.
the ass of the producers that developed
Oh.
whatever the hell that show was. By the sounds of it.
Oh,
All right, well,
I just
you know what? That
yeah,
saves
I
me the
just
trouble for
they
having to
had
watch it then.
Same.
so there's so many different things that they could have done. There's so much that they could do. It could have been a great series. I was very excited for it. Master Chief and Halo is the reason why I picked up an Xbox. Unlike people out there, Halo Infinity came out or Infinite was announced. I got excited. Yeah, there were some issues and they were addressed, but I seen that. I was like, oh man, I missed that series. And that was half the reason why I picked up an Xbox. And then of course all the acquisitions and stuff happening, so great timing on my part. But it's such a great series. I absolutely love the game series, not the television show. The games. I can't talk them up enough. They are one of the most iconic shooters out there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but I mean, what can you do, right? All right, so
Yeah.
moving on to the next article now. We've got a PlayStation 5 action RPG being criticized for disabling trophies on easy difficulty. So recently released action RPG Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, has earned criticisms for locking trophies and achievements when playing on easy. While this isn't the first game to gatekeep trophies from easier difficulties, it's an outlier in that much of its trophy list has nothing to do with a challenge. So I know, Mav, you had been mentioning this one before, that you and Monster were going to be doing a race on this particular game.
So I'm just going to be upfront with everyone right now. It hasn't happened. We unfortunately had a death in the family a week and a half ago, and it's kind of kiboshed everything. So there's been a lot more time spent with family, a little less time gaming, and reevaluating what's important in our lives. So that and Monsters had a few personal challenges come up as well. So I think we're going to probably put a pin on that race. I haven't touched the game yet. It is loaded. But on this subject, I shame on you is what I'm going to say. I know that I had a point. I tried making a point a little while ago on Dragon Age and the no death mode. I've had a little bit more time to do a little bit more digging, have a few more conversations, and that's the one thing that I really try to pride myself on, is to try to get as much information as I can from other sources, have conversations, and actually be able and willing to listen to what people have to say, to have a little bit of a different opinion. And this was one thing that I had a lengthy conversation with a few people. And I mean, gatekeeping a platinum trophy for difficulty, that's one thing. I get it. I mean, that needs to, in some cases, I understand the reasoning that happens. It's harder to get through those games. But to give no trophies at all, I mean, trophies aren't necessary to enjoy a game. But there are trophy hunters out there. There's no reason to say like nothing for you. I don't care that you're enjoying this story, and I realize that if you're able to do this thing on easy that somebody did on medium or hard, and they were able to get something for it, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it.
I
No, I'm
kind
working
of
on
get
that
it.
one.
Yeah, I kind of get it in a sense too. Rob, I'll let you go ahead here first if you have a thought before I break in.
No, I just basically echo everything Maverick said. You know, it's kind of lame to do something like that to lock achievements behind things like that. If you think players need to get good, so to speak, let players enjoy how they want to enjoy the game. Simply.
Yeah. Um, I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get it in this particular case. A lot of people who are just playing, who just want to play the game to enjoy the story, to enjoy, the game in and of itself, more often than not, they're not really going to be looking for trophies anyways. That being said, though, I do agree in what Maverick said about, if you're going to play the game, you're going to enjoy something, and you get absolutely nothing to show for it. That's where, like, there's so many games out there that have. Let's take a look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example. There's a whole list of trophies that you can get just for playing the game, and then you have a whole other section of trophies that you need to earn by playing it on hard mode. I don't see why they don't just do it that way. Like, if you're gonna put trophies and achievements and things like that in the game, have something for everybody to accomplish.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean, an example, like I was looking at doing a platinum run for Witcher 3. And one of the things that's there is you have to complete the game on Death March. That's a certain trophy that prevents you from getting a platinum. I don't think there's anything wrong with having that. I have an issue with them blocking everything. Yeah. And that's my stance. I know that kind of goes against what I said earlier, but as I said, I would like to backpedal as hard and as fast as I possibly can for every single comment I said before in regards to playing it on easy. It's a shame. As I said, shame on you guys.
And I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, what are trophies and achievements really? I mean, the ones that people are really only ever going to brag about are the completionists. The ones who literally got every trophy. You got the platinum. You got 100% in the game. Those are the only real trophies and achievements that truly matter, in a matter of speaking. For a person that's going to only play the game on easy because that's the way they want to play the game, like I said, they're not really going to be looking for those trophies to begin with. But yeah, I do agree that it kind of sucks that they don't get any sort of recognition or some kind of carrot on a stick to basically highlight the fact that they did play the game. They did, play it all the way through. They earned whatever little hidden challenges or secrets and things like that are available in the game. So, like I said, I get it to an extent, but yeah, I much like Maverick, I don't agree with it either. Okay, so coming up to the next article, PlayStation 5 update has added a new feature that won't work on certain models. The new feature is adaptive charging, which adapts how the PlayStation 5 supplies power to the USB ports while the console is in rest mode. Namely, this helps preserve battery health of what is most likely going to be your DualSense controller. Adaptive charging will usually consider the battery level of your controller to determine how much power it needs to draw in order to reach a full charge. The end result is that your DualSense won't be overcharged and your console won't overexert needless energy. This is now currently only available on the Slim model and likely an update for the upcoming PS5 Pro. You see it a lot on newer devices nowadays too. My phone has the same thing. When it's plugged in, it's got adaptive charging. Mav, you should probably see the same thing too, because you've got the same phone I do. Rob, I have no idea what kind of phone you've got, so I don't know if it's got the same features or not.
I've got an iPhone.
Yeah. But yeah, most rechargeable devices nowadays, adaptive charging is a very, very common feature that you're going to see nowadays. The fact that they don't have it on the normal PlayStation 5 is a little surprising to me.
It's because of the C cable.
Well, even
the C cable charging, yeah.
Well, I mean, with C cable charging, that's what our phones use too. But the fact that they
right, but I mean,
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, I mean, if they couldn't apply a firmware update to the normal PlayStation, like, what's the difference between the hardware between a PS5 Slim and a PS5?
So, speaking as somebody that just recently picked up a Slim. There is no USB-A on the front. Now, normally that's where you'd plug in your controller to charge. The USB-C that's on the PlayStation 5 is basically for the PSVR 2. is what that's essentially for. As far as I'm aware, I could be mistaken with this. The reason why the Slim is there is because there's a secondary USB-C port that you use for charging and setting up the controllers, and it's that port that allows the adaptive charging. And that's the reason why that it's only available on the Slim and why it's coming on the PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah. Like I said, that's why I'm kind of confused as to why, they could very easily you can apply a firmware update to USB ports to do the same. Why they haven't done it for this one, I kind of boggles
Isn't the
my
USB-C faster though? Like there's more data that kind of flows between the USB-C and the A.
Data transfer rates are faster, but voltages are
are the same.
Voltage. Well, no, voltages aren't the same. But voltages are a lot more controllable on USB-C. Versus
I think
USB-A.
that's the reason being. I think you just answered your own question. I think that's the way that I'm reading this.
Right, but if I can do the same thing on my phone on a USB wall plug that has adaptive charging, why can't I do it on a PlayStation?
Good question.
So that's like I said, that's why I'm saying I'm pretty sure all it takes is a firmware update, but why they won't do it. But we're kind of nitpicking at that particular stage. I'm a technologist. This is the kind of nitty-gritty gripey stuff that I'll gripe about.
Which is part of the reason why I wanted to make sure it was added on.
Yeah.
But that's the way I read it, was because of the way that the ports are. But again, I could be mistaken with that.
Well,
I just seen the article and thought I'd include it because it was interesting enough that it's not available for the original model, but included on the Slim and likely to the Pro.
Well, we've had our angry Maverick moment. Now we're going to have our Rider Rage moment. Damn
it! Okay, let's go.
I'll just sit back. Go ahead.
All right, firmware update. Okay, moving on. Anyways, no, we are going to. Yeah, exactly. We are going to move on though. So speaking of the PS5 Pro, looks like the PS5 Pro has been deemed unnecessary. The PS5 Pro has been deemed an unnecessary refresh by developers. Sony is almost ready to release its mid-gen refresh, the PS5 Pro. The console is thought to be a powerful upgrade. It is marketed to be around 50% faster and boasts much better ray tracing capabilities. However, while it may look good on paper, developers do not appear to be too impressed. Following recent leaks, developers at GDC 2024 believe that the console is not much of an upgrade, making it less than necessary. My first thoughts on that going, I'll be the one to determine that. Thank you very big.
Exactly.
I'm the one voting with my wallet. So let me make the decision on whether or not I feel it's a big upgrade. If they're talking about much better ray tracing capabilities, that does mean that there is a major GPU upgrade in the system. And those things don't come cheap either. We're probably looking at, kind of based on the release date of the PS5, looking at the PS5 Pro, we're probably moving to what would likely equate from a Gen 3 NVIDIA to a Gen 4 NVIDIA. Which even in and of itself, if you look at the desktop hardware that's available nowadays, that's still a fairly significant boost. Even if you're going from same subset to same subset. So if you're going from like a 3070 to a 4070, you're paying a little bit more of a premium for the 4070, but you're still getting a fairly significant boost in performance. So if they're boasting better ray tracing capabilities in the PS4 Pro, they're likely going to be seeing the same thing, in which case, gimme!
So to answer your question, because I have been following this a little bit, there was actually a patent that was released, I think it was just before Sony announced that they were going to do a removable hard drive for the PlayStation 5 Slim.
Okay.
And there was a patent that was actually released, I think either just slightly before or slightly after. But one of the things that they were discussing was a second GPU, which I think is what's going to push what you're discussing. What I'm expecting from this, and what I think we're going to end up seeing, is we're going to end up seeing ray tracing plus 60 FPS is what I think the Pro is going to end up being able to do. The reason why these developers are saying that it's unnecessary is because the PlayStation 5 hasn't met there hasn't been anything that's pushed the system yet. there's still a lot of capabilities that the system actually has behind it still, that they haven't been able to utilize everything as of yet. There's a few games that have been close with the controls, but the actual display itself, the system can do more. They haven't pushed its limits, and I think that's the reason why the developers are saying, guys, you don't need to do this. I'm not saying that they shouldn't release the system, because I think there's quite a few PlayStation 4 users that are going, we know the 5 Pro is coming. I'm just going to wait till the Pro comes out, and I'm going to pick up the best model possible to be able to run it. But in my mind, the PlayStation 5 game that I'm playing is still going to work in my Slim compared to the Pro. And I realized I upgraded, but I had nothing but I had headaches with the one that I had. I tried to make some changes. Won't get into that, but the Slim has been fantastic so far. But I don't see it. I don't see it being necessary either, especially if they haven't been able to push the system yet.
I think one of the things they should take a look at, though, when it comes to the PS5 Pro, is giving yourself enough overhead. If you haven't really pushed the system to its limits yet, obviously they're gonna try and develop games in order to push those limits. But eventually you're gonna hit that ceiling where this is the limit. We can't really do it. We can't do anything further with it. Having the PS5 Pro to give yourself a little bit more overhead might be the better way to go. But I'm thinking in terms of future proofing. I don't know.
Sure,
Rob?
but at that point, though, too, as soon as you hit that ceiling that you're discussing, we could also be sitting here discussing PlayStation 6. Anyways,
Yeah.
Rob, please.
True enough. I don't have much more I can say about this that you guys have already said about it. Is a Pro or a Max ever necessary? All it does is make Sony more money, but that's about it.
That's true.
That's how I look at it.
And I mean, and we are talking about a company that is, outselling Microsoft at a 5-to-1 pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least, by what what we were saying earlier. Anyways, whether or not that's actually true is that's a whole other discussion. So yeah, any final thoughts on this particular article before we get to the end here?
No, I wanted to double check. I wanted to double check what I was saying. So yes, actually, according to Forbes, PS5 outsold Xbox almost 5-to-1 this past quarter. Okay. So we were talking the last quarter. So yeah, it's as we said, it's I think Rob added a very valid point that it's just a way that for Sony to pad its checkbook a little bit more. But we also know that in a lot of cases, systems are sold at a loss. So again, an argument could be made of, does this really need to happen?
Yeah. I guess it can all depend on how much they got their chip, how much it cost them to basically buy the chipsets that are going on the boards. If they were able to get like a super good deal on them and still sell the PlayStation Pro at what they were normally going to be selling at, maybe they actually make a profit margin on it. Who knows? But we're not really privy to those numbers, and
sadly,
yeah, if we were making that much money, we probably wouldn't be doing a podcast right now. Just saying. So yeah, so I mean, any final thoughts on this one here? I think we all kind of said what we needed to say.
Yeah, and as far as I've been able to see, the PlayStation 5 Pro is still on track for 2024 release. So if there's going to be any kind of yes,
probably holiday.
So I'm thinking holiday.
Yeah.
And I called and I said before, and I told Monster this as well, that I believe there's going to be a Sony State of Play in September.
Oh,
and
yes,
they've
right.
kind of leaked that already, that there's going to be likely a State of Play in September. So so far my prediction looks to be correct, and we will probably see it announced at the end of that State of Play or that showcase.
Yeah.
Fair bet.
Well, and if that's the case, I might do what you did, Mav. I mean, I may trade the OG in and maybe upgrade to a Pro.
Don't tell them that I did that.
But anyways, that is where we're gonna kind of bring things down here. It's time to put the controllers down, time to power down the systems, and say goodnight. So first off, thank you all very, very much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, make sure you do drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe down below as well with the notification bell on, so that way you guys don't miss another episode of the Level 1 Lounge podcast when it goes live. So, Agent Maverick, where can we find you these days online?
The new Geek Corner. I am going to be putting up a review very, very soon, probably in the next day or so, for Deadpool Wolverine. I did actually take Ryder and his other half, my sister, out to see the movie here this last weekend. As I said, streaming has been non-existent at this point in time. I'm hoping to maybe get a streaming session here with these two gentlemen again soon, and maybe Chewy for another round of Helldivers 2 soon. I keep asking you guys about diving, but yeah, other than that, keep an eye on keep an eye on my Facebook page. I will announce any kind of streaming that I do, and there will be lots of news and reviews and stuff. I've been also very, very happy to see that Superman's finally wrapped. So that was the last article that I posted as well. So yeah, that's where you can find me. But unfortunately, streaming's kind of at a lull right now.
Oh, that's fair enough, though. And Irish Bennett Rob, where can we find you online, and where can people pick up a copy of Shade Falling?
You can find me mostly on YouTube, where I am posting videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays, I am playing a mod of Doki Doki Literature Club, and I just finished a script that is related to Doki Doki Literature Club. You can check my Ko-Fi to see what that is. Cheap plug for myself. And I've taken the Maverick Challenge, and I am playing Guardians of the Galaxy. I am 3 episodes into that so far as the filming of this video, and having a damn good time with that game as well. So
I told you.
yes, you did. You told me. And on Fridays, I am playing Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered. I'm almost at the end of that one. I don't know what I'm going to do afterwards, because I know I did a poll earlier in the year about playing Final Fantasy VII, the OG one. So I might hop on over to that after I'm done Pixel Remaster. But also at the same time, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster is on sale now, and that's very tempting to pick up. So we'll see what happens.
That will definitely keep you busy.
Oh, absolutely it will. And you can pick up your copy of my novel, Shade Falling, over on Amazon. I know these two gentlemen already have a copy of it. One of them has read it. One of them actually has bought 2 copies of it. But
that's only because I accidentally spilled the drink on the first one.
Yeah, exactly. He took it to Mexico and he spilled a drink all over it.
I should buy a second one for your autograph on one and read the other one.
There you go. But yes, you can pick it up on Amazon. You can get it through either Kindle e-reader, or you can get it on paper. Either way, it's fine. I'm more of a purist. I like the paperback version, and I like, it's a detective noir novel, so it should be in paperback. But for the more technology inclined, I do have the e-reader as well.
Perfect. All right. And as for me, you guys can still follow me over on my Twitch. I have since removed my schedule just because with my new job, I am going to be taking on night shift rotations here right away. So my schedule is really going to kind of be all over the place. It already has been. Like I said, as Maverick mentioned before, unfortunately, we did have a death in the family. So I've been kind of splitting my time here at home and traveling to see the family as well. So but regardless, you guys can still find me over on Twitch. You can also find me over on YouTube, where I've just posted a couple of reviews for a new game that I was gracious enough to receive a game review code for, called Deathless Tales of Old Russ. So if you guys are into card battler roguelikes, it's absolutely fantastic game. Love the artwork, love the music. So make sure you guys check out my YouTube channel there as well. So that's where you're going to find me and all of my particular gaming stuff. So with that being said, thank you all again very, very, very much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you guys hopefully sometime next week for the next episode. So for Agent Maverick 86 and Irish Bandit Rob, I'm Ryder Pride 639, and we'll see you guys on the next level.